everybody. Just popping on a few minutes early here because I am solo in the studio. So I want to make sure that everything's showing up correctly and give myself a couple minutes to get our thoughts and everything organized. Let me know here in the comments if you're here watching live. Today we're going to be talking about doing jewelry displays. So the style of display that we're going to be learning today is something that I used way back when we had the shop Vintage Earth. So we had to have a lot of different creative ideas, and so this is just one of them that I kind of came up with. I'm sure you guys have seen some sort of variation of this as well. Let me just, I see Doug is saying hello. So that means, I'm guessing that's coming in from YouTube. So that means that we are live there. Let me know if we're live on Facebook as well. You can pop into the comments. I know I'm a little early, but basically I wanted to make sure that I have all my ducks in a row because you know how technology has been for us lately. A little bit challenging to say the least. But I'm gonna also test this other view that we are gonna have here. So we're gonna test that out. And get that set up. Oh, not that one. There we go. So this is just showing some of the materials that we're going to be using today. I think I'll be flopping back and forth between a couple of these views. And I'm going to take just 1 second to make sure that everything's showing up properly here for you guys, while we're letting people pop in. And let's just check this. Yes, so great. Looks like we're showing up on YouTube and Facebook just fine, which is awesome. And getting a couple of things set up here while we wait for you guys to come in. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves for a few minutes. I want to make sure that I get the right link in the video for you guys so that it's easy to find the products that we're using today. And all right. Got my link in there published. And I'm gonna swap back over to my other view. So I can chat with you guys for a minute. All right. Let's see who we've got. Looks like Doug was telling you guys about some techie things that they did to have a more stable live experience, which is awesome. It's always great to troubleshoot that stuff after it's done, right? And then you get to have the rewarding experience of having it all done. Oh man. Who do we have here today? So it looks like we've got Lynn and Peggy and Doug so far. Doug did the reminder text go out. I'm sure it did. or like a few minutes ago maybe. All right. Okay. So I want to show you guys the basic concept of what we're doing today. So we've got a few different materials that we're working with. These are black pipe and black pipe fittings that we're going to be using. So they just screw together really easily, and I took the time to go into our Amazon affiliates link and I added all of the exact products that I use to make these displays. So if you guys want to be able to make them without going through and finding all the fittings at the hardware store, it's pretty quick shipping. I got it in just a couple of days, and I didn't have to go sort through and try to find all the exact things that fit. But today we're using 1/2-inch pipe and fittings. And so you can get these at the hardware store, or you can get them on Amazon. And I linked, like, if you wanted to just go in there and grab all of the components, you don't even have to leave home to be able to do it. I even put the screws in there that I used. So made that really easy for you guys, and I think I sent that info to Corian. So if she wants to pop that into the comments, or Doug, if she has handed off the baton to you, maybe you can do that as well. Ohio has had 5 Bigfoot sightings this week, and it wasn't Uncle Doug. That's funny. You know, it almost feels like I should call Doug Uncle Doug, right? Because our age difference is that that big. Sorry, my brain's going like 5 different directions. I've got a big age difference, so we didn't really grow up together. So it almost feels like he's my uncle too, but we are siblings. All right, so let's get back to business after I'm done being distracted. It is one of those mornings, you guys. It's one of those days. But it's only 11:02, so cut me some slack, right? Okay, so back to the materials. We have just a short list of materials. Fittings, which we've got some end caps here. We have some T-bar fittings. And then we have some U-shaped fittings, which I'll get to you. And then we've got the Ushkusan plate that will become the base of our displays. And then this is a scrap piece of 2x4, but then I also found on Amazon, they do sell like 4x4 cut pieces that would work as a good base as well. So really all of those things. Lynn, you know, if you had 4 of them, you wouldn't maybe think that big brothers were the best. Being the youngest, I don't know. I feel like I grew up separately from pretty much all of my siblings except for Corian's dad, which is Steve. So he was, yes, he liked to pester. And I feel like my youngest is like, has that same kind of energy where it's like, if he doesn't have something like to keep his brain occupied, then he likes to be that way. And then Doug, when I was little, he used to write funny songs about things that would make me laugh. But yeah, welcome you guys. All right, so back into the materials: black pipe, wood, fittings, and screws, which I used like a star bit screw in here. You don't have to do that, really anything lying around, but if you want the length and everything, or even if you want to verify the materials, you can use that Amazon list to check all of the specs and just grab the specs off there if you want to rebuild any of these things. Now, So this first display that we're going to talk about right here, I figured out something really cool about it. This was going to be a jewelry display, and then this was sitting in my office yesterday, and I was like, wait a second, if I take the end cap off, I can literally just put chain spools on it. So I'm like, this is definitely coming back to my home office with me, and I'm going to build probably like a multi-tiered one, and I'll show you kind of how that can work. I'll have to get some more pipe, but I think that's going to be a really great space and time saver in my office home where I do most of my designing. So this one's kind of cool. We've got our wood base here. We've got our plate, and we've got a, let me see, is this 6 inches of pipe? Let me just check here. All right. Let's see. Oops. This is probably like a 6-inch pipe section. And then another one. So you can do this with longer sections. I really wanted to keep this manageable for shipping and for getting and not having to invest too much. So I'm only using these 6-inch sections of pipe. You can get longer ones, you can build some big things, but yeah, this one, I think what I'm gonna do to modify this is put every 6 inches, I might do another tier so that we could do one, we do a T-bar here, it comes off this direction, and then we keep going and building on it. So really this is just to get your kind of creative juices flowing and think about how we can put these elements together. So I've got this piece that I've already screwed in, and I'm just gonna add, so I've put 2 of these pieces of pipe together with this T-bar connection. You could do 1 length of pipe, but like I said, to save on shipping and time and investment, I just only bought the pack of 6-inch ones because I didn't want to go to the hardware store. So we're just screwing that in. It's really so easy to put these things together, you guys, as long as you have the plan, right? You know what you're doing. And I just sketched these out on paper first and then bought the pieces and then said, well, do I like the way these look together? Okay, so this one is just going to function like a necklace T-bar. And we're just putting that in. Now you're going to notice when these come, your hands are probably going to get kind of black dirty from handling them and oily, because they usually come with oil in them. So what we're going to do, they're packed in oil. Okay. Let's see. Tell me if I'm still going live, because I did get a network warning there. So are we still good? Give me a shout out. So in order to not interfere with the paints and antiques sticking, we want to make sure that we get the oils off of the pipes. And so I'm just going to clean this up. And I'm just using some of these Clorox wipes. Okay, great. I'm glad. You know, we've been plagued with those technical issues lately, so I just, no bueno. And I'm by myself today, so I'm like, oh my goodness. One of those days. I think Ainsley is enjoying her time off though, so I am happy for her to have a little bit of a break. We all need it sometimes, don't we? Okay. So you could use, when I was at home, I also just used a little bit of rubbing alcohol to remove the oils, and that worked really well. So we're gonna do that. So this one, we've used 2 sections of 6-inch pipe for the T. We've used 2 sections for the body. T-bar here is a connector, T-bar, 2 end caps, and your base plate. So this is a really great necklace display. So you can see you can really fit a lot of jewelry, whether you're using this for storage at your studio or for some sort of show, just organizing your pieces. So that's this guy. I'm gonna set this one aside. This one that I showed you earlier, which I've already done a coat of metallic brass on. This one is a 6-inch section, a corner piece, and then 6-inch section and a plate. And then we have one more that I made up for today, which is this one, which I thought was pretty fun because at a show you could mount it like this, right? So you could see maybe these are coordinating necklaces and bracelets. So you can do a couple of different kinds at heights. So these are all bracelets, these are necklaces. I'm gonna take these off for a minute so I can also clean the oils from this guy. But I would suggest maybe before you get started, just clean your piece because you get kind of dirty doing this. Because they do that so that they don't rust, is they pack them in oil. And some are worse than others. I think the ones from the hardware store are actually a little dirtier than the ones that I got from Amazon. And I was surprised. Actually, I thought, hey, if I go to Home Depot or Lowe's, these things are going to be way cheaper. They were not. So getting the multi-pack from Amazon was actually more cost effective than going through the store and trying and hunting down and finding all the pieces. Okay. Okay, so as we let these dry, I want to talk about our new release for today. So a few weeks back, I did a jewelry display class and we introduced some basic colors. We did these projects, which were really cool, right? Look at how that turned out, which was like, this one was using our sepia brown and black. And then we had this was how this one turned out, right? From our latest. So we did our basic sets, and then I took note from what you guys requested last time to do these sets. So we did like a greens, what I would call it a greens expansion pack. So these are dynamic greens. We've got pale green, which this one is like used in a verdigris, like a lighter verdigris finish a lot. We have the bright green, which I use like pretty consistently as accents, and then the emerald green. So we expanded the greens offering, and then we did kind of an expansion pack of the metallics, which we did the metallic white, which I like to use this to create a silver effect a lot. Then we have the metallic gunmetal, and then metallic brass. So as we discussed before, and I don't know if I put this in comments or what I did, this color likes to settle and it becomes like almost impossible to mix up in the small bottles. But because we have superior ability for mixing with this wide mouth, you're going to be able to continue to get this metallic brass color in this format. So, yay! And that's what I use to do the base of this guy. We're going to also base out one more display in this so you can see exactly how I did that. And then we'll move on to antiquing this one, kind of tier stage it. Then 2 more items to the other pack that I did was our, what I would consider the most essential iridescent colors. So we've got our iridescent violet and our iridescent green. And so these are, these can be blended with other colors to get effects, but our most used colors are these two. So, all right. Let's see what we want to do. Okay. I think I will do, maybe I'll do this one in the metallic brass. And I'm going to go ahead and swap this over really quick so I can show you. I'll show you how this settles and mixes. I'm going to swap to this camera angle really quick. Yeah, so I'm seeing Brooke is saying she's asking about a code that she's gotten. That doesn't sound like a sale that I have run recently. So it's possible you got something from Vintage Idaho. So it does matter which website you're on. So if it's not working on our regular website, check to see if it's from that one. Because I know they do run different sales cycles that we do. So it could be that it is valid. It's just not on the right website. Because we have several. We have our live shop, which houses the warehouse sales, Vintage Idaho, which Wendy does really great mixes on there, and then Vintage, which is where you're going to find all these products, and then our wholesale. So we've got a lot that we manage for different purposes. So as you can see, this mixes up really beautifully, but it does settle, and that's just like, that amount of settling is just from a couple of days. So it will kind of settle on the bottom, but you should just take the back of your brush and use that as mixing. So I'm gonna swap this back over to our big view again. How am I doing, you guys? Am I working okay? All right. So I'm just dipping this straight into my pot because I'm just using one color at the moment, and then painting it on. So you can see I'm choosing to use a bit of a smoother brush this time. There's a few techniques that you can use. So if you wanted to get like a more mottled effect, you could just, and keep it like more skippy looking. Instead of having brush strokes, you can kind of stipple this guy on and give it just kind of like a little bit of an antiqued look instead of doing like solid brass. Now the other one, I did a couple of coats because these are glazes, right? I did a couple of coats because I wanted it to look like brass pipe underneath, and we're going to antique with the greens right on top of that. So there's a few different ways you can do this. Okay. Not too technically difficult, this part of it. Turn this guy around, and maybe I'll bring it back this way a little bit closer to me so you get more of a view of what I'm doing. I think it's okay if I cover up my face right now, right? So I think for this one, we're gonna do it a little bit more skippy feeling because I want it to just have that antique vibe where it's like really old brass. And that way I don't have to get like a lot of coverage either. And I'm just using our largest size of the Colorful Soul brush. Now you want to do this in kind of thin coats because it's going to speed your drying time, and then also it's not going to get drippy. We turn that around so you can kind of see how this is going. Look at that pretty metallic sheen that we've got going there. And you can kind of see how this mottled effect changes the way the metal looks as well. So what I'm going to demonstrate for you guys is doing just an antique brass look on top of the pipe, which is what we're doing right now. Then we'll take it a step further with antiquing it to look like it's a green verdigris. And then we will do on the other display, we're going to do that silver and iridescent look, which I think will give it a little bit more of an ethereal feel. Yeah. And I would just keep working it and turning it. As you can see, this process goes pretty quick. But look at the difference there. And that was just a couple minutes worth of work. Gigantic difference. And I would just look for any kind of drippy areas, right? And then this one's done, right? Look at the difference. So here's your before and here's your after. I'm gonna go ahead and close up my antique. Let me just, what I would suggest, what I found is if you keep this foil somewhat intact, don't get rid of it completely and seal it in, it does help. It does help the seal and the longevity of the product. So I would suggest that if it comes off clean, go ahead and leave it intact. It's just another layer of keeping it sealed. Let me see, hopefully I've got a good amount of water in here, which I do, but I think I'm gonna, I'm gonna just dry this out because we're using it on the same undertone instead of getting it wet because we don't wanna thin out our colors. All right, let me just swap this back over. And I'm gonna move this one out of the way for the moment. And then we will go back to our chain dispenser guy. So this one, look at how nifty this is. We just take this off, right? So this can be a bracelet display or it can be for chain spools. So I think that's pretty cool. Thanks, Stephanie. I use that same technique when I do hardware as well. So if you wanted to take this and do, let's say, kitchen knobs that were black, or maybe they're just a yucky color, you would base it out in black first and then do that modeling effect on it. So this one I did more of like even strokes. So you can tell a little bit of difference here. Like in the top, you can see that's a little bit less coverage. I didn't really worry about keeping it perfect because I knew I was gonna antique. Now, because I'm gonna be mixing multiple colors using them, because I'm going to be using all 3 greens to do this. I just brought out some of these palettes, which if we have time, I'd like to do a giveaway of a pack of these. So maybe 3 of them. So if you want to get your love reacts in, love share, whatever the parameters are, I'll be giving away some of these, like a 3-pack of these, maybe 3 of them, because I'm pretty sure we've got some extras at the HQ that we can use. So I'm just going to swap this over again, swap views. And then we're going to look at these colors. That is, yeah, that's cool, Peggy. So I'm going to show you, these are sealed. These are still sealed. These are the way they came to me. I haven't opened these yet. So I'm going to show you how you can open it and just leave that somewhat intact, because I'm finding it's really useful. Don't take it all the way off. Just peel it up like that. And that will keep it less likely, if you don't, less likely to leak or spill or that kind of thing. We added these foil seals for that purpose. So when they ship to you guys, they don't go anywhere. But I would just take a second to try to keep that as intact as possible. Like, I don't know if you guys did the gum wrapper thing when you were kids. Does anybody else do that? Where you try to peel the whole thing in one piece, like the foil away from the gum wrapper. I think it's a very niche thing. I don't know. Did anybody do that? People in my family would do it. Just to keep your brain occupied when you've got nothing else to do. Because you know us. Gotta always have something going on in there. Is that like only my family, or is that anybody else do that? All right. So I'm just getting this peel, being a little bit more careful so that I can keep that intact. You don't have to do that. You can take it all the way off. I'm just being persnickety about it. And there we go. You're going to find areas that are a little less sealed too. And then we will stir all of these up, especially if they've been opened before. And then seal's not completely on there. So you can see like this pigment will settle on the bottom. So we want to stir this really well. This really is the best way. If you've there is a mixing bowl in here, but the best way is going to be to stir it with these larger, because you just really make sure everything comes off the bottom. It also is the advantage of getting them this way, is you can make sure every bit of pigment is mixed up in your mixture. So the metallics will separate a little bit more than the solid colors, but these still do settle. Now, like this is the amount of settling from, I got these shipped several months ago, and I had not opened these greens yet. So you're kind of seeing what it would look like if you ordered it, didn't use it for a while. So now if you watch this on the playback, feel free to just go ahead and fast forward through this part, because it's a little bit boring. Tell me about your week while we're doing this. Tell me about what's the weather like? Is it beautiful? Okay, that one was a little bit less mixed up. I feel like the bright green might settle a little bit more than the other colors, because it's got kind of like a neon pigment in there, which is a little bit more. So I just want to make sure there's nothing left on the bottom there. Think about it like when you get a paint can and you just want to make sure you're just using your stir stick on it. Okay. All right, since I'm going to be using all 3 of these to do, I'm just gonna put some in my tray here so that I don't contaminate my brush. Let's see, what's gonna be the best way? I think something I don't have here is a spoon, but I think that would be really useful. So what I'm gonna do actually is grab one of these caps to use as a dispenser. Because we're gonna use a lot of this color, right? And I don't wanna get my thing messy. I would say a spoon or something that you're gonna there we go. Gorgeous in Corpus Christi, blue skies, 70s, perfect beach weather. Ooh, that sounds amazing. It really is quite lovely day today. I'm excited to be, not that I want to like leave you guys, but I'm excited to see what the rest of the day is like after I'm done here. What do you think? So I'm putting quite a bit in. Like, as you know, these are advertised as value sizes. They truly are, because this would be like a good chunk of a small bottle, because we're going to be using a lot here. If I had the proper tools, I would just use a spoon or something to move this over. And this is just so we don't get cross-contamination. Because I like to use the same brush. So I'm gonna fill like, I think like one of these wells worth is gonna be about what we need to do a bigger project. You could do it in stages where you just dip directly, or you could have multiple brushes where you dipped into. Honestly, with my personal stock, if I'm doing a larger project, I don't really worry too much about the cross-contamination, but most people don't work that way, so this is how we're doing it. We're doing it in a little bit cleaner way today. All right, let's swap back over here to our large view. And we've got our pretty piece here that we're gonna use our bright greens on. Let's see. Make sure that we can see a good chunk of that. And maybe I'll put the colors right here. How are we looking? Bring that in view a little bit more. Okay, so we're just gonna take this dry brush and we're gonna use a couple things. I've got this paper towel that I was using to clean out the cap, so it already has all my colors in it. And we're gonna put we're just gonna stipple these on to give it just a little bit of a hint of verdigris color. You know what I may do? Let's see. Let me see if I can, let me raise this up. I'm gonna swap over here. Maybe give you a little bit better view of what we're doing. Yeah, I think this is gonna be a better view for you guys to see how we can antique this. So last time we did a horizontal view and we noticed that it didn't really get as many views, because I think the social platform prioritizes vertical format. So that's why we're going vertical view here on the live. Look at how that it just sits in there. And it's okay if it like releases some of so what you'll notice sometimes is I've done this is a dry layer, and I'm getting a little bit of this earlier because it will, the antique will release sometimes the earlier coats. It's definitely can happen. We can just go in there with a little bit of brass later, and so don't be surprised if that happens, I guess, that's the point of what I'm saying, right? Is there a way to get the comments off the screen? Are you watching on your phone, Cheryl? So you can really see how these two colors, the pale green and the bright green, combined to make this really pretty, very kind of realistic looking verdigris color. And then, you know, the emerald is a really nice kind of accent to that. Bring this out here. So if you're working on a little bit more flat surface, you can see how that goes. When you're working three-dimensional, you just keep on kind of touching the different parts and modeling to get a very realistic finish. That's looking pretty good. And I would say you're going to use a lot more of your pale green because the effect that we're looking, and then accent with the other two colors, because you want those little pops of bright green in there. Look at how pretty that is. And then we'll swap back over. Look at that though. Just so good. And then you could, if you wanted to get some of the original verdigris color, you could do that. But I thought like green brass, really cool idea for this. And I'm gonna swap back over here so you guys can see this in real time. Now, you could do this as just brass without these colors. You could add a little bit of blue in here if you wanted to get some of that original verdigris color, but I really like this effect. You could really just keep going until it looks just like you'd like it. But there we go. We have our brass with a little bit of a verdigris effect. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get this brush cleaned out, and we will do our silver look on top of this display, this kind of fun one. And I think what I'll do is we'll start off the same way we did on this last one. We're motoring right along with our class today. I might get my wish and have a pretty nice afternoon off today. What do you guys think? Okay, so we have our metallic white here. Get that guy open. Ah, thank you, Vintage, which I'm assuming is Corian. And just make sure. Don't want to get any of the green in the silver. So when I use this brush back, I want to make sure it's cleaned off. And then also, like these Clorox wipes, these are in our studio supplies list, also are the paper towels that we use. They're really just handy for getting, like when you're doing some dry effects, getting a little bit of that left up. So I'm gonna mix up my metallic white here. And I think what I will do on this one is do that mottled finish, which I'm kind of partial to as well. Very lovely. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and use this metallic white. And again, I think, so if you're using, you can get it stirred with that, but then also putting your brush in there and getting that on the bottom will really grab those very metallic pigments. Look at how pretty that is. It's almost like satisfying just looking at that portion of it. Okay, we will swap back over to the other view so you guys can get a kind of a full view of what I'm doing. And I'll move this back so you guys can get a view. So we're just going to model and keep working, and this is going to dry as you go along. So the bright metallic white on top of the black base is going to give you this kind of antique silver look. Now, if it's not black already, you can do gunmetal underneath, or you can do some black antique to give it that dark base. This could also be done with the copper that we featured last time, and that would be just stunning as well. But I wanted to show these. I wanted to feature these new colors so we could expand on our offering for you guys, because I know everybody's got projects, right? Everybody's got big projects that they've been waiting on. Another recent development is I was able to finish the branding for the regular colors in enamels. So be looking for that coming down the pipe. Let me turn this around because I'm mostly working on that side, and you can see how that's coming along. So I would say this is kind of, when we're doing a three-dimensional project like this, you have to kind of work 3D. You don't want to just do one side and then do the other side. You want to make sure you're catching drips as you go along. And really get it rolling. And I always grab, when I'm using my container here, I'm always pulling from the bottom, so I'm getting the pigment that will naturally like to settle down there. Just like when we're using the small sizes, we're shaking right before we use it. It's kind of the equivalent of that, is just grabbing from the bottom, because it's going to naturally want to settle. All right, so we're going to let this sit for a minute. Make sure I'm good here. We'll let this dry for a little bit. But look at that. Isn't that cool? Like antique silver kind of look. Set that aside while we let that go. Okay, so bringing my brass piece back out here that we used. I'm going to seal this one up, trying to keep my workspace somewhat neat today. Lisa says, love that green for boho and beach or nature inspired jewelry. For sure. Could you do a big raku set? I think so. You guys, when you're in the lives, you have my ear for sure. You've got which is why I came out with the greens and a couple of the iridescents this time. So make sure you shout out to me what colors you want to see next. We can for sure do big raku. What do you want to see next in a large format? Because I'm trying to do this like once a month. Do you want to see like the raku colors, like a set of those? What do you want to see? And I think it would need to be modified because we have, yeah, that might take a minute because that requires some of the darker colors. We might be able to do a modified one of those. A couple of our colors, they require kind of different labeling than the most of our colors. And I think 2 of them that are in that require that labeling, which we don't have that yet. So I will look to see how soon we can do that. I think what will be fun to do on this one is iridescent. So I'm gonna bring out both the green and the violet. And we're gonna see how this looks with just a little bit of iridescent sheen on it. Get these opened up. Now these seals are a little different. We were testing some of the sealing. Those are the ones that I've got here at the studio. So they look a little different than the others. Yours will all come with the foil because, you know, as you guys know, we did a lot of R&D with what was going to come the best to you shipped. So this is one of the versions. You guys are getting the ones with the foil because it's better. And it doesn't like to stick like this does. So we'll get this mixed up. Not yet, the Erie Gold, but I would say if you want that look, we do have, so now we have brass introduced, and we have, so we've got brass, we have Victorian gold as well, and these 2 iridescents. So Raku and Erie Gold so far for requests. Let me know what other colors, you guys. I'll turn this back over here so you can see how pretty that. It's kind of like satisfying just looking at the pigments in there. Ah, so gorgeous. And we're gonna mix up also the iridescent violet. So eventually we will be getting pretty much the whole line out. We're just starting with limited sets so that we don't overwhelm the warehouse with having to get all of this out. Pretty. And then give you guys a chance to pick up these colors kind of over time, because getting a bigger set is like, it's a little bit more of an investment per color. Yeah, so let's see what this looks like. I'm gonna show you. Look at how pretty that is. My goodness. I'm gonna see what this looks like. So we're gonna do both iridescent colors on top of this brass. My goodness gracious. Look at how pretty that is. We're just gonna put it in different sections on here. And then I'm gonna just wipe my brush in between. This is kind of what I would more be apt to do with my grains as well, rather than putting them in the tray. But I wanted to show you guys how you can do that if you're really worried about cross-contamination. This is what we can do. Is just wipe your brush in between. We'll flip over to this view so you can see back large. How do you guys like this format? Is it easy to see what I'm doing on a larger project? I'm curious. Now, think about this. You could do like a whole table base in some of these finishes. There's just so much that we can do. Turn this around so you can see kind of how that's going, and we'll get kind of like a skippy look to some of these. And again, I'm seeing where it kind of will release some of that original brass by going over it with another color, because it hasn't, you know, hasn't had as much time to dry. So don't worry about that if it happens. It's really easy to just go back in and fix that. Do you guys do the artist squint too? I feel like I try to do it less than I used to, because I know it's not really good for your eyes to squint, but I do it a lot. Or you just like kind of like sit back and go, does that look right? Am I the only one who does that? I know I've seen memes about it, so I can't be the only one that does it, but I'm curious if anybody here does that too. Okay. So tell me, what do you guys think? Will you build some of these for your studio? I'm gonna open up this brass and just do a little bit of a patch job on that one section that lifted while we were doing this. Finger paint that in. I find that if I need to patch something, it helps to just tap it with my finger. So I will use that because it's less likely to rough up the surface. And if you want to bring some more of the brass highlights out, you can come back in with that again. Make it, just do like little accents. Tell me what you guys think. I'll turn this around. Looks like the same spot on both sides, interestingly enough. Once this has dried and cured for quite a bit of time, it's going to be super durable. Lisa says, whoa, you are a big time squinter. You're blind in your right eye. I would never have known that, Lisa. Thank you, Cheryl. I think the iridescent looks amazing too. Look at that. Look at that. Just like super magical, whimsical. So you can go anywhere from like super industrial feeling, which I think this one that we did, which I think it's probably dry enough now to do another color, right? So this has a very industrial feel to it. We could also do copper on here, which is very industrial feeling. This could be done in brass. I'm gonna do some iridescent over this one as well, because if it's silver, right, a lot of times it's gonna have those properties as well. It will have a little bit of a glow if it's tarnished at all. It's got those iridescents in it. So I'm gonna add some iridescent to this as well. And I think, Lisa, you're right. Next on the list has gotta be iridescent gold, because gosh, would that be pretty on this one, wouldn't it? I'm just doing a little bit of airy green on here. And I think I'm gonna be ready to finish up here soon. I'll just do a little bit of a demo of what some of the other colors, because we do have two other, what did we do? No, one other metallic, which is the gunmetal, which I thought really goes well in the large size with this. And we haven't demonstrated that yet. So I'm gonna show you a little bit of that as well. But think about, whoops, you guys didn't need to see that, right? Think about what large projects you guys might do with these. Oh, look at that. I just bedazzled my bracelet and pants in the process. Another reason to have these handy dandy wipes on hand, because I'm gonna get that out of my pants. If you get it like immediately, it's less likely to become one with the fabric. Okay, where was I? Okay, that's got some pretty accents in it with the green and the iridescence. So I think the only one that we haven't looked at yet is the metallic gunmetal. Put this, seal these back up. You guys are witnessing me being way more disciplined than I normally am with taking care of my workspace. It's usually like colors flying everywhere, but you know, sometimes we've got to keep it under control, right? So like when I did some large pots at my house, when we were testing these out, I was like, I'm going to use the whole container for it. And I knew that I would use that to do like my series of pots, and I didn't worry about cross-contamination. And I just dipped in colors and had them spread out all over the lawn. So that's kind of the environment that I'm used to working in with these guys. Okay, so last color to demonstrate, which is newly added, is the metallic gunmetal. Yes, I think so too. And that's what I did at home, is I used, in order to prep the one that I did at home, is I used rubbing alcohol, the same exact stuff. I have mine in a spray bottle, which I used for my plants. But I don't think you're really supposed to aerosolize alcohol. I don't think it's really good for you. So I wouldn't suggest that necessarily, but wipe it down with the alcohol. You could put it on a rag and then wipe your pieces down with that. That's going to be really good. This is such a gorgeous, gorgeous color. The metallic gunmetal is. If you wanted a super industrial look, you could just do metallic gunmetal and copper. And that, I think, would be really great. I like doing kind of a hard and soft look. So I would almost take a more feminine display and I would put something that was more kind of like straight lined on it, so that you have that contrast, right? So why, if you have a lot of verdigris pieces in your brass, then I would display it on the opposite tone. So I might put a lot of brass necklaces on this one because it's dark and it doesn't have that the same tone to it. Whoops, I got a little messy there, guys. Got a little distracted. Ooh, that's cool, Lisa. I like that idea. What's nice about using these like an antique instead of thinking about them as a solid color covering is that you don't need, one of these jars is going to last you for a big project because it's an accent. It's not like a paint where you're going to change the whole color and try and get an even finish. You're just going to use it to antique it. Sign of a true artist. Which thing? The messy part, Peggy? The getting paint on yourself everywhere? Okay. So I've got this gunmetal, which is an absolutely gorgeous color, and I've got it mixed pretty well. See how we doing on time. We are 12 o'clock here, 1 o'clock there, right? So let me show you guys. Maybe, let's see, how do we want to do this? Let's swap to this view so I can show you what this can look like. So this cap is pretty much undone. And I'm going to do this with the gunmetal. So this is really good for actually kind of matching that original color too, because these caps were like a lighter color than the rest of the pipe. They're like zinkish colored. So it's good for like marrying your metals together. And if you had something that wasn't like, this is a really great base for all of the effects that we're doing. It's really gorgeous. Turn this back around. Yet the messy part. Well, then if that is the sign of a true artist, then I'm definitely a true artist because yes, messy. Goodness. Is there anything else that you guys want to see before we move on to the rest of our day? Of course, going to show you guys these. I wonder, maybe we'll do, so you can see how it looks on wood. Maybe what we'll do is do the base of this one. I've got all my mats laid out here. We cut them up so they're easier to move around during the regular lives, but then I was like, wait, I need a big one, and all the big ones are at home because I didn't think about it until I was on the road today. So I just have them tiled all over here. So you can give this base a little bit of a sheen too. So I think I'm going to do that. If you do this in the solid colors of the glazes, it's going to look more like a stain. It's more highly concentrated than our line of stains is. So it will act different. So if you wanted, let's say, this to look like a wood base, you could do sepia brown and that would be really pretty. But I think I'm just kind of want this to kind of go away. So we're just going to use the gunmetal to make it match the base of my display. So if I wanted this to all look like one kind of finish, this is a great way to get that base color to be similar tone as your metal. It's doing our gunmetal on here. And then after we do that, we will show you what the jewelry all looks like on here. And it does dry pretty darn quick, so I would say make sure you don't have any streaking or like weird brush strokes, because this is going to dry pretty fast, especially if you're going over wood, as you know from doing the pop-outs. If you use the antiques on those or the stains, a lot of that pigment will soak in and it will dry pretty quick. So last time we did one of these classes, I used a chip brush to do a lot of my effects with. So this week I wanted to use our set of brushes so you could see what a smooth brush application looked like. I think like for doing an even application, these are really superior for that. And then if you want that stippled look, swapping to a chip brush is really great technique. Turn that around and I'm gonna put that in water so we can see what this guy looks like. It just gives it a little bit of a sheen and helps it blend in with the look of the displays. And let's see, let's put a few of these out and put some jewelry on them. This is pretty much dry already, which is great. I'm gonna lightly use it because really before you start heavy use on it, you should wait 24 hours because it's just gonna have more time to fully set up and cure. Look how great that is. Just really super unique display. Set that side. And then I love this for both, right? So you can see, I can show you before, you know, what this looks like as a jewelry display, which was my original intended purpose by putting a couple of these on here. Right, so this is great for that, but I think the more genius use for it is chain spools. I mean, honestly, because it's something that I'm gonna use in my studio all the time, and you can swap out like whatever your most used chains that you're getting from the warehouse on here, right? So whatever your 3 or 4 basics are, and then I would do probably add a T-bar here, do another tier, do the U at the top so that I could have, you know, like 6 spools out on this display. And then you can just dispense like that. So loving that. And then let's bring out our more industrial feeling one here, which gotta love it. And we'll put a few bracelets on here so you guys can see how these work. Ah, yes, that makes, yes, frames are really great use. We did those last class. And it really just does any project that you do with this. It really just amps up the quality of it. Let me see. I'm gonna grab a couple more pieces from over here so we can get the full effect. Goodness. Do you guys think we have enough jewelry displayed in here? I don't think it's enough, do you? All right. There we go. So you guys can see what this one looks like with a bunch of pieces. Now, if you have a super long piece here, like this, if you have a lot of really long jewelry, I would suggest just lengthening, doing another tier to lengthen your pipe, or something that I do quite a bit as a cheat is just wrap it around, but this actually had an extender on it. There we go. But what you can do is just wrap your chain around multiple times to get it to hang at the right level. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay. Corey and Doug, are you guys still there to be able to do a giveaway? Let me know. I know we do have some of these trays back at HQ, and I would like to give away, pick 3 different winners. Let me know if you're available to do that. Yes. You know what I just, I just realized is that I don't know how to do the invite. So if you wouldn't mind picking the winners, I don't think I can share you here because I didn't have Ainsley teach me how to bring you on live. I knew I was forgetting something this week. So if you can just give me the names of the winners, if you can pick them and put them in the comments here, I will announce them. I'm sorry, you guys. But as a bonus, we are going to be finishing up kind of early today, so everybody gets to enjoy their afternoon. Little hot glue. What do you mean by that, Lisa? If you want them to stay in place? Like during transit or something? I'm just gonna seal up my jars here. What was your favorite finish from today and or last week? What colors do you guys, not last week, but you know what I'm saying, last class. Tell me what you guys think. What was your favorite one? Favorite display and or favorite technique? Colors, colorway. I'm going to move this over so you can get this view again. A little bit easier to look at the comments like this instead of like this. It's easier for me to follow the setup. I'm trying to get all these guys on screen that we made today. Oh, Peggy, that's wonderful that she gets to go home. Are you good? Do you get to see her today? That would be amazing if you did. Put one like right here. Yes, okay, interesting, Lisa. Okay, so Vintage, if you can let me know in the comments here who the winner is, winners are 1, 2, 3. I will announce them. Hopefully you're still watching. Not just waiting for the invite because it's not coming. 3 winners are Rosie Sawyer, Sherry Dor, and Lisa Mack. Congrats, you guys. And you guys are going to each get your own sets of palettes so that you can do large projects without cross-contaminating, right? Even though, like, honestly, if I was at home, I'd just be using the big containers and going from 1 to 1 and not worrying about it because that's my style. But not everybody is as like crazy like that, right? Congratulations, you guys. Now, So there's a couple ways to find the products. If you're on YouTube, I've already put all the links underneath inside the video description, which are like some of the products are linked directly from YouTube, and then some is like the Amazon list that will show you like all of the pipe and wood components and screws and everything that I used. If you guys want to do these exact projects, if you're not on there, you can go, another way to find it is we've got a resources blog post, and that'll give you the link to go to our affiliates page, which we have several, we've got several different lists. So we've got the jewelry displays list, we've got like our UV lights that we like to use, some other miscellaneous supplies that we use frequently, studio supplies. So there's a lot of different links there to that. But I believe it's just, yeah, so it looks like Corian put in here the link that'll go directly to these products. So it's just amazon.com/shop/vintage co. So she has linked in here the exact list that you need for this one. If you go to just Vintage Co, that's going to take you to all of the lists. But if you want this specific one, and maybe you just want to, you have some of the stuff around and you just want to compare the sizes and things, because if you do any home improvement, you probably have screws or little 2x4 scraps laying around. You don't have to buy everything, right? But using the large sizes of the One Step Antique is a really cost-effective way to do bigger projects with all the finishes that we love. And pretty much anything that you can do on your jewelry piece, you can do in a large scale. So whether it's a piece of furniture or if it's a shelf or something in your office. I've done like bathroom hardware, knobs, other things like that. For these classes, I like to keep it in the jewelry realm because I want to make sure it's useful for you guys all the time. So thank you for joining us today. Congrats on our winners, and we will see you guys back on Wednesday for the warehouse sale with Corian, and then I think maybe on Friday, next Friday in a week, we'll probably be doing the warehouse loot review designs and taking those same components and doing some kits with those. So thanks everybody again for joining, and it's been fun hanging out with you guys. Sorry we couldn't bring Corey on live, but that's a little bit beyond my scope